Shimei Walker, Business and Community Recognition Luncheon and Empowerment Forum. I'm Shimei Wofford, Third Vice President of Membership and Chapter Development and the Chair of this year's forum. On behalf of the Board of Directors and members of the Bay Area Chapter, I want to thank you for your continued support. We have a short time with you today, but we're going to make it empowering and impactful. Now, let me introduce you to our moderator. We had her last year, and we're happy to have her back for her encore appearance as this year's moderator. Mary Stutz is a powerhouse, and you are in for a treat. A little bit of background about Mary. She has provided global corporate relations and leadership development in companies such as Genentech, Bristol Myers Squibb, Bayer, United Health Group, Kaiser Permanente, Stanford Healthcare, and Comcast NBC Universal. She has an extensive background and many accomplishments that I cannot name during my short time here. But you can definitely read more about Mary in our program booklet. So please join me in welcoming Miss Mary Stutz.
Thank you so much, Shemaine. It's great to be here, and I am excited to participate today. And welcome to everyone. I know most of you have been on quite early, even when we were trying to do our check-in, y'all was already on. So I know you are excited to join us today, and we are thrilled to have you here. It's going to be a great event, a great program. We have a great forum in store for you. Our theme for this particular segment is navigating your health through change. And the format is a panel discussion, and we want to have time to give you an opportunity to ask some questions of our fabulous panelists today. And the program book for today's forum can also be accessed via the link that's located in the chat. And if you have questions during our conversation for our panelists, just go ahead and put them in the Q&A section of your Zoom screen. So, you know, there are so many things that we have to navigate today, especially, you know, ladies, sisters, there is so much that we are having to navigate. As I always say, life comes at us too hard, too fast sometimes. And it's difficult for us to make sure that we're navigating health for ourselves and taking care of ourselves. We have our COVID pounds that we said we weren't going to put on, but we put them on anyway. We have, the need to exercise, to eat healthy, and then the stress and the anxiety. There's still the social and the racial unrest. There is the concern about safety for our children, our Black and brown youth, our sons and daughters. We're in the middle of a she session. We're going to talk some more to our panelists about that. This is the first time that a recession has impacted women, and especially women of color, Black and Latino women, more than anyone else in the population. And that's why they coined it the she session as opposed to a recession. And then to vaccinate or not vaccinate, I know a lot of folks are struggling with that. So, there's so much going on that it's important for us to take this moment like today and listen to our panelists, our experts, and ask them some questions and get their great advice. So let me just get right into it. I want to introduce, starting with Dr. Shandy Fuller. And Dr. Fuller provides leadership and guidance for the Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health Division, as well as being the medical director for California Children's Services. She is an active member of Solano County's Community Action for Race Equity, which is CARE, is the acronym team, and the CARE Collaborative, and the African American Black Caucus for Solano County. Dr. Fuller has developed training on historical trauma and implicit bias and works with medical centers to install equity into their health systems. She has a passion for equity and believes that we all have a role in producing the transformative change to create a more equitable world. So welcome, Dr. Fuller. And then I want to bring out Dr. Karen Tribble. Dr. Tribble has over 25 years of practice in the behavioral health field and is an experienced and dynamic administrator. Over her career, Dr. Tribble has held a number of leadership roles in California and on the East Coast. She currently serves as the Director of Behavioral Health Care Services for the County of Alameda and formerly held the position of Chief Administrative Officer of Behavioral Health Services for a large East Bay public health system. She has served in executive leadership in organizations providing crisis and acute behavioral health services, consultation to individuals, families, schools, and organizations, forensic services, oh my goodness, integrated primary care, and previously managed mental health services in the cities of Berkeley and Albany. So welcome, Dr. Tribble. And I just want to jump right into it, ladies, because as we just talked about, so much has happened this past year. We've all experienced a lot of uncertainty and disruption. And now that we're getting back to what will be the new norm, we'll never get back to how it was before. And I think more and more people are recognizing that. What are some of the strategies that we can use to be self-advocates? And I know our audience is primarily women, so self-advocates for ourselves so that we are taken care of, so that then we can help advocate for others. So we'll start with you, Dr. Fuller, and then I'd like to hear from you, Dr. Tribble.
Sure, and like you said, this is a new normal. We'll never go back to where we were. But as a self-advocate, I think it's important to know your rights, know the information, get as much information of the topic that you're advocating for, your health. Reach out to people that you trust and that can give you the correct information. And specifically, if you're advocating for your health with a doctor or a medical provider, and you feel like you're not being heard or listened to or respected, then that may be the time to find another provider. So always listen to your gut, your intuition. Women, we have very good gut and very good intuition, and we should listen to that inner voice. And if you feel like something's wrong, then pay attention to that and seek out answers.
Absolutely. Dr. Tribble.
Thank you for the question. And I would underscore what Dr. Fuller mentioned. And I think just the nuances that I can add to that is I really appreciate that gut or that discernment. I think that's one of the things that oftentimes we as women, particularly women of color, underestimate. So if I could, think of an emoji of your intuition and make sure that that's first and foremost in terms of how you approach a situation. The other piece that I like to think of is, again, particularly women of color, we tend to be the super women. And as much as I see my baby Yoda in the background, as much as we love sci-fi and we see ourselves as super women, we're actually human. And why I think that's important is I think of an image of when you're on an airplane. And back in the day, now they have videos oftentimes, but the steward or stewardess used to remind you to put your own mask on first so you can be of assistance and support to the rest of your family. And that goes completely against our grain, particularly as women of color. You want to render support to your significant other, your family, your work, your faith, everything comes first. And of course, after your faith, you actually have to have a body and a person to be. So I would encourage people to think of your own self-care as primary to help you advocate, navigate, and really actually be in your best. Without that, I think we can't be a caretaker to others unless we're thinking of how we are walking in the space and how healthy we are.
Exactly. Yes. So, the other word, the buzzword, in addition to pandemic and all these other buzzwords that have, and unprecedented is another one. So we heard that so much. But another word that we're hearing a lot is pivot, right? And that speaks to all the ongoing change. And you hear people talking about having to pivot. Companies have had to pivot. So what are some things that you would suggest that our viewers today can do to help themselves pivot? Because I don't think there's any one of us who has not had to pivot in some shape or form over this past year. And if we haven't, we probably will have to going forward. So when you think about that whole concept of pivoting, I want you each to kind of tell me what that means to you, and what are some of your thoughts about how you can actually help people can actually mentally prepare to pivot, and other ways that they might need to prepare to pivot. So we'll start with you, Dr. Tribble.
Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah. So, oh, did you say Fuller or Dr. Tribble?
I don't know.
I said Tribble, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. That's how we roll. We are family.
That's right.
I appreciate the question. I think, again, I try to conjure the mental images in my head to remind me of how to stay focused, first of all. And if you think of what it looks like to pivot, for some of us who played sports, or those who didn't, you actually have to do some machinations with your body. And in heels, i.e., as a woman, it doesn't work too well unless you really stably grounded. So the way that I like to think about it, and I've said this in lots of different forums, and if I could shout it on the hilltops, I would, is I think of it as a table, a four-leg table, and think of it from a bio, psycho, social, and spiritual place. In order for you to effectively pivot, you really do have to look at your whole self, and whatever that looks like for you. In order, your job changed, you lost your job, you had childcare, your significant other did, income changed, budget, everything just looks so different, as well as health. Although we're excited that the pandemic is waning, people are still affected and people are still losing their lives. So that's a lot. It really shakes the core. And so that's what I mean by really looking at yourself from a physical perspective, the biological piece of that one leg. Have I eaten? Am I exercising? Am I taking care of myself? Did I take my meds? Did I take, whatever I needed to have done? And then psychological just means just what you had mentioned earlier, the mental health part of us. It is really important how we're feeling emotionally. Are we, people take it for granted. Am I having to take more coffee than I used to? That's actually a form of self-medication. We have to do what we have to do, but you really should think of your behavioral health as a psychological leg of the table. And then the other thing is social. And of course, with the pandemic and everything, our social networks, how we see ourselves in the world, whether we have bottoms on, we're in front of a camera, we only dress the top portion, but we are neglecting ourselves just because of the nature of what's going on. So you really do have to look socially. Are you still able to connect with family, friends, loved ones, folks with whom you may worship, any of that? It's really critically important that even though we haven't been able to do what we could do, pivoting essentially is important, and keeping that in mind. And then the other thing, I think the last leg of the table that I really always try to remember, for me, it is my spiritual connection. And, certainly not in a place of proselytizing necessarily, but faith is really an important part of who we are as a being. So whatever that faith is, just your existential belief system is critical, because at the end of the day, when the pandemic subsides, we are still here and you are still here. And it's important that you remember that true sense of you and yourself and celebrating it. So, for me, whenever I think of pivot, think of a four-legged table, otherwise I'll fall in my heels. And so that's what I would suggest people think about.
That's great. So Dr. Fuller, very quickly, because I know we're close on time. So can you give me, because I have a couple more questions I want to ask, but can you tell me your thoughts about pivoting?
Right. Yes, I completely agree with Dr. Tribble. For me, I think of it as just a centering and a grounding of yourself. Because again, if you think about pivoting, if you're not grounded, then like Dr. Tribble alluded to, you're going to fall over. And I think this past year really has shown us that, we've had to pivot in so many different ways that if we're not grounded or tied to something, then and what really matters, then we're just floating in air, and not really centered. So for me, mindfulness practices really helps me to center myself. Definitely faith or a believing of something outside of myself, something bigger than myself, and family. And that connection with family and community is so important, because without that, then when things come to kind of knock us off of our centeredness, if we don't have those connections, then we're more likely to just fall by the wayside. So I think this past year has really taught us what really matters. And those things, I think, is what helps us, and definitely helps me to become more centered.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I always like to say, engage your spirit. It's so important because if you don't engage your spirit, then you'll quit. You'll give up too soon. You won't re-enter the promise. When you've had disappointments, you've had loss. People have lost loved ones due to COVID. Many of us have lost different things. I know for me, engaging my spirit was very important after the death of my first child. My baby died at 2 months old, and we're not even going to get to talk about maternal and child morbidity among Black women, because that's another area. But the point is engaging your spirit so that you can pivot, so that you can adjust is so critical. And then, as you've also said, be intentional. Have a plan. If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you've arrived? Right? So what's your plan? What for life, for your future, for moving on to the next thing? So I want to get your input very quickly though about the vaccine. So I know that to vaccinate or not vaccinate, we've been talking to so many people. There are so many efforts, and we know amongst specifically the Black community, the vaccine rates aren't as great as they should be. And I know even my own sister, who's on this, so I know she's going to be mad at me. She's probably going to beat me up after this, but we've gone back and forth. She's a retired police officer, and she was really having issues about getting the vaccine. And then she thought about it. Now, this is a woman who goes to Africa and does missions for orphan youth. And she probably has had more vaccines going to Africa than anybody in the world and doesn't think twice about those vaccines. And it finally dawned on her, I couldn't talk her into it, but it finally dawned on her, that if this was something I needed to take to go to Africa, which I see as my purpose in life, I wouldn't think twice about doing it. So what am I doing now with this? And, that's just one of the ways that I looked at it. That's certainly why I took it, because I want to travel. I need to have my clients and do work and interact with people. And I'm not going to let this vaccine stop me from my purpose. But I want to get both of you very quickly as we are out of time. So like 1 minute each, your thoughts, your input to those who are trying to make a decision about getting vaccinated or not. We can start with you, Dr. Fuller.
Yes. So first, I just want to acknowledge that there is reason why the people of color, communities of color, Black people in particular, are mistrustful. I usually say that it's not mistrust, it's abusive trust that's happened in this country. And if you look at from Tuskegee to the Mississippi appendectomy, and we don't have time to get into all of that, but it's a legacy of abusing Black bodies for research. And so having said that, though, and just acknowledging that the feelings of mistrust are valid. But now that we have gone through this pandemic, the vaccines that are out have been tested and are safe. And there's a Black female researcher who was a lead researcher in the development of the vaccine. And so I think that the more that we hear from trusted Black leaders in the community that have gotten the vaccine, who've done the research, who know the science behind it, and can attest to the fact that it is safe and that it's something that is going to help us from dying. Black people in the nation, as well as this community, are dying at higher rates from COVID. And this vaccine is something that could prevent that from happening. And so I, for one, want to go back to life as close to normal as possible, be able to hug my loved ones and see my aunts and my uncles and my, grandparents and see that they are here next year, and be able to be in contact with them. And I know that to be able to do so, that we need to get vaccinated. So I'm here to say that it is safe. And then I hope that everyone, if you do feel a little bit still unsure about it, just go to the CDC website and just read up about it as much as you can, and talk to trusted individuals in medicine that are putting out good information about this. But don't do Google. Don't
Yes,
just randomly.
that's right. Don't do that. Thank you so much. We only have 2 minutes left, but I do want to give you, Dr. Tribble, a chance to just very quickly address the vaccine.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be very brief. You know, I again, everything that Dr. Fuller said was right on the money. I think what I would just add is that it is real. The fear is real. No one wants to feel as though we're birds and canaries in the cave, in the coal mine. We don't want to feel that way. One thing I could suggest is that people think about it. You're not necessarily putting your trust in man, which can fail us and be insecure, particularly for people of color. You are looking to see how you can protect you and yourself and your family and your loved ones. You know, just yesterday, one of my staff informed me that a person who had been struggling with chronic disease and illness succumbed because not for lack of love, but family members unfortunately exposed them to the COVID virus. So it really is around protection. It is having truly faith in your ability to discern and look at the information, seek your provider, get your consult. If your provider doesn't look like you or doesn't give you feedback or makes you squint, go someone else.
Yeah.
Go to someone else that makes you feel comfortable, because the truth's out there, and it really is not about whether you trust or believe in it. It's about how much care and risk you're willing to take for yourself and behalf of your loved ones.
Absolutely. So they gave us 2 more minutes. So I want to give each of you like 30 seconds to just any last comments that you want to leave with this amazing audience. We have such great participation. Thank you all for tuning in and participating and listening to us today in the forum. I'm sorry we're out of time and won't be able to get to your questions, but there's so much more ahead. But I do want to give our guests just like 30 seconds to speak to our audience. Any thoughts that you want to share about navigating change and the future? Dr. Fuller.
So I just want to put out there that we are, like Dr. Tribble said in the beginning, very strong. We're very resilient people in general, and Black women in particular. We're leaders of the community. But we also must remember that we must take care of ourselves. You know, we hear that Black don't crack, but Black cracks inside if we're not taking care of ourselves. And so if we, we're at our best when we are good with ourselves, both mentally and physically. So go find a doctor that is someone that looks like you, that listens to you at the least, and that you feel comfortable and trusted with, so that you can take care of yourself physically, eat healthy, exercise, drink water, and also take care of your mental and your spiritual being, whether that be mindfulness, going to church, singing, whatever. But we're mind, body, and soul, so we need to take care of all aspects of that.
Thank you. Dr. Tribble.
Yes, I think I would say, again, everything. I'm so appreciative and feel blessed to be a part of this. But I think one thing that comes to mind is something that my parents told me. I've lost both of them, but I remember, especially my dad would say, just be. And a few times I would say, what do you mean just be? Be what? I analyze it. And he meant that. Sometimes you don't know where to go, how to be, what to do. But if you can just be in a space, take care of yourself just in the moment, because as was said before, we tend to be very resilient, but we also tend to be forgetting that we don't necessarily have to always have a high pain tolerance. Life and decisions will come and go, but we really just have one self. So if in the middle of chaos and frustration, that's one thing that I hope people remember. Just pause, just be. Look at TikToks, look at TV, read a book, pray, go to Home Depot, whatever you feel like in that moment will govern you to the next moment. I would encourage people to do. You don't have to be everything all the time. You can afford to just be.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. We appreciate you, Dr. Fuller, Dr. Tribble. Thank you to all of our guests who have tuned in. And there's so much more to come. We appreciate our virtual audience. And we are doing a poll. There will be a poll that will pop up for our virtual audience. So we would appreciate it if you would take a moment and complete the poll. But on behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, we want to thank everyone for tuning in and participating. And it's not over. Grab your food, your Uber Eats order, and don't leave your monitors. We are going into the very next segment now. Thank you so much.
The sounds of blackness.
Be optimistic. Woo! When in the midst of sorrow, you can't see up when looking down. A brighter day tomorrow will bring. Oh, be optimistic. You hear my voice of reason. Telling you this can never be done. Oh, yeah. No matter how hard reality seems. Just hold on to your dreams. Yeah. Don't give in. Although it seems you never win. You will always pass the test. As long as you keep your head to the sky. My, you can win, child. As long as you keep your head to the sky. Face toward the sky. Be optimistic. When things around you crumble. Yes, it will. No, you don't have to stumble and fall. Keep pushing on and don't you look back. I know the storms and strife. You know they will cloud up your outlook on life. Just think ahead and you'll be inspired. To reach higher and higher. If you learn to never say never, you make me down, we're gonna lie. That's what optimistic is. Pass the test. As long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win, child. As long as you keep your head to the sky. Looking toward the sky. You can win, yeah. Long as you keep your head to the sky. Face toward the sky. Be optimistic. You can win. Long as you keep your head to the sky. Don't you let nobody stop you. Be optimistic. You can win, yeah. Long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic.
National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Oakland Bay Area chapter, welcomes you to our 23rd annual Madam C.J. Walker Community and Business Awards Luncheon. Now introducing the members of NCBW Oakland Bay Area chapter, our chartering president, Kathy Adams. First Vice President, Cheryl Perry Lee. Second Vice President, Robin Cameron Brown. Third Vice President, Shemaine Wofford. Secretary, Regina Guillory. Treasurer, Shari Wooldridge. Financial Secretary,
Tracy Tate. Parliamentarian, Verlena Green. Chaplain, Micah Montgomery. Historian, June Bullock. Audit and Economic Empowerment Chair, Francis Cohen. Education Chair, Lucretia Cotton. Ethics Chair, Deidre Clayton. Finance Chair, Abiola Asherobi. Health Co-Chair, Pat Hunter. Health Co-Chair, Nisa El-Amin. Leadership Development Co-Chair, Angela Bishop Ross. Leadership Development Co-Chair, Adanta Ahananu. Membership Chair, Jamie Sweet. Nominations Chair, Ruth Mims Jimerson. Policy and Procedures Chair, Tanya Gilmore. Public Policy Chair, Diane Lewis. Technology Co-Chair, Tamori Richardson. Delana Brand, Anitra Clark, Annetta Clark, Carrie Crespo Dixon, Dr. Tracy Edwards Moore, Sharika Ether, Rain Free, Tiffany Innes, Shantae Jordan, Tamara Lawson, Andrea Tatum, Shelley Watson, Lydia Taylor Bellinger, Doreen Anthony Fuller, Sandra Johnson, Leslie Stewart, Beverly Green, Agnes Uboma, Rosalind Stewart, and our illustrious president, Aisha Brown.
Good afternoon. My name is Aisha Brown, and I'm the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated, Oakland Bay Area chapter. On behalf of all of our members, I would like to welcome everyone to our 23rd annual Madam C.J. Walker Business Awards and Community Recognition Luncheon and Empowerment Forum. I am so excited to be here with you virtually. We want to thank you for joining us today for our annual fundraiser that's help support the many programs that we need to support our community. As we all know, these last 15 months have been difficult, heartbreaking, yet we have been able to use this time to refresh, renew, and become encouraged. For many of us, our lives may look very different than what we have planned. Yet, we have still overcome many of the obstacles that were before us. Our theme this year is Thriving Through Change. In the tradition of our annual event, which many of you have been with us from the very first one, today we have put together another wonderful experience for you. Our keynote speaker is an author, TV host, spiritual leader, and so much more. Our keynote speaker is Ms. Ayala Van Zandt. I would like to also welcome and thank our Mistress of Ceremony, Miss Kamasi Aaron. We want to give a special acknowledgement and thank you for our sponsors, Wells Fargo, Blue Shield, Comcast, Chase, Kaiser, First Republic, and so many others. This year thus far has given us memorable experiences. Some of the experiences have taught us to be informed, creative, resilient, passionate and strong advocates for ourselves and our community. You will also hear from our Positive Steps essay winner, Miss Bryce Dawkins. We are so proud of her. She is our essay winner for the second year in a row. Congratulations to all of our essay contest participants. Job well done, ladies. We encourage you to read more about our Positive Steps young ladies in your program book. There is also a link in the chat. When the time comes, we encourage you to please participate in our Fund a Need, and we want you to support our chapter and make a donation to support our programs, which includes our Positive Steps mentoring program. Some of our other signature programs include College Scholarship Program for graduating high school seniors and the Working Women's Scholarship for women in the current workforce returning to school to pursue higher education. Sisters Getting Real about HIV and AIDS. Our health initiatives, which include educating yourself and being the best health as a Black woman. Sisternomics, financial literacy, building generational wealth, and investing in our futures. It is my hope that the Oakland Bay Area chapter will continue to empower others, educate, advocate for change when it is needed and counts most. This past year has taught us how to be resilient, innovative, and continue to be the voices for change. Before we get started with the wonderful event that we have planned for you, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work of some of the members who have worked many hours, volunteering their time, creativity, and passion to put this event together for you. First, Ms. Abiola Asherobi, a phenomenal leader within our chapter and co-chair of this year's luncheon. I would also like to acknowledge Ms. Tamari Richardson, co-chair of both technology and economic empowerment committees, Ms. Charmaine Wolford, our third VP, Dr. Tracy Moore Edwards, Ms. Deirdre Clayton, Ms. Shari Wooldridge, Ms. Robin Brown, second VP, and Ms. Tanya Gitmore, Chair of Policy and Procedures, and every single member in our chapter. Thank you, ladies, for your vision, creativity, and hard work. I am honored to be a part of an organization that works to empower Black women and girls to be the best that they can be and more. If you're interested in joining our chapter or want to learn more about the work that we do, please visit our website at www.100blackwomen.com. Lastly, as we prepare for our state, country, and world to open, let's continue to do our best to stay healthy, be smart, safe, and we must continue to thrive. At the end of the luncheon, please remember to fill out your luncheon survey. We want to hear from you. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy your lunch, and let me turn it over to my co-chair, Ms. Abiola Asherobi.
Welcome, welcome, and welcome. I am honored to co-chair this year's event and take pride in welcoming today's attendees, public officials, and sponsors. Hopefully, you are able to participate in and enjoy the Empowerment Forum and are now ready for the spectacular program we have planned for the remainder of your time with us. Like you, I am excited to hear from our keynote, the phenomenal Miss Ayana Van Zandt. So let's get started. To take us further into today's program is one of my favorite Bay Area anchors, Miss Kamasi Aaron. Kamasi Aaron is a morning anchor and reporter at KGO-TV, the ABC station in San Francisco. In this role, she has led coverage conversations around social justice, health, equity, and other issues important to our community. After graduating from Florida A&M University with a degree in accounting, Miss Aaron received an internship at ABC News in New York City. That internship led to behind-the-scene positions at WABC-TV, New York, One News, and NBC Nightly News. Ms. Aaron then began working in front of the camera as an anchor and reporter in Fayetteville, Arkansas, Jacksonville, Florida, and Denver, Colorado, before coming to us here in San Francisco. She loves telling stories that inspire, uplift, and encourage people to make changes in themselves and their community. Please welcome the amazing Miss Kamasi Aaron.
Aviola, thank you so much for that warm introduction. And what can I say? I am so glad to be here to serve as a mistress of ceremonies for this awesome fundraiser as we celebrate the accomplishments of outstanding women in our community. Thank you so much, NCBW, for inviting me. Welcome, everybody, and a huge thank you for joining us today. This is so awesome. And I want to start by thanking the Veteran Luncheon attendees who have been with NCBW since the very beginning. And I also want to extend a big welcome to our first-time attendees because you are in for a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 23rd Annual Madam C.J. Walker Business and Community Recognition Awards Luncheon. Now, to officially open today's program, I would like to recognize the Honorable Mayor Libby Schaaf of Oakland, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, representing the 13th District, and the Honorable Mayor London Breed of San Francisco.
Hello. First, let me just say what a pleasure it is to be here with you virtually for the 23rd Annual Madam C.J. Walker Business and Community Recognition Awards Luncheon. Thank you to Kamasi Aaron for emceeing today's event and for your kind introduction. I'd also like to thank President Aisha Brown and the chair of the Public Policy Committee, Diane Lewis, for inviting me to welcome you all here today. For more than 25 years, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Oakland Bay Area chapter has been advocating on behalf of Black women and girls here in our community, and I am so proud to not only have been a supporter since back in the day, but for being a founding member. I'll always remember that evening of our beautiful, wonderful induction ceremony. This last year has been so difficult in so many ways, and I'm so thankful that we can come together again this year, even if it's virtually, to honor and continue the legacy of groundbreaking entrepreneur and social justice activist, Madam C.J. Walker. The phenomenal women honored here today are also breaking ground in business and activism and in public service. And I want to thank each of them for everything that they are doing to advocate for and empower our community. In the last year, we have seen an uprising in our country against systemic racism and discrimination. There is so much work to be done to root out the systems that keep Black and brown communities fighting for their lives. But we are on our way being led by Black women. As our beloved, the late Dr. Maya Angelou said, and still we rise. The work you are doing to mentor young people, to teach young women how to be advocates for themselves, and to recognize and encourage leadership in our community is essential. This is a moment of change and transformation in our country. So the theme of this year's event, Thriving Through Change, it is so appropriate. The NCBW and each of today's honorees is doing the work necessary to make sure our community not only thrives, but also leads the way forward through this change. Black women do lead. Thank you again, and congratulations to this year's award winners. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again in person soon.
Hi, I'm San Francisco Mayor London Breed. It is my honor to join you at the 23rd Annual Madam C.J. Walker Business and Community Recognition Luncheon, an empowerment forum hosted by the National Coalition of 100 Black Women's Oakland Bay Area chapter. For decades, the Coalition of 100 Black Women has been advocating for Black women and girls in our nation, fighting against racial injustice and economic disparities. It starts with lifting up and supporting the next generation of leaders in the spirit of Madam C.J. Walker, an entrepreneur and pioneer in business and her community. Madam C.J. Walker fought for the change and opportunities we see today. She helped pave the way for the next group of leaders, business owners, and young people who never thought they would overcome their environment. I was one of those young people. Growing up surrounded by violence and poverty, it would have been easy for me to lose my way. But I was fortunate to have my grandmother who raised me and taught me the right values, to try hard when it all seemed impossible, and to help others when we could. As we recover from this pandemic, we have an opportunity to lift up our African American community by investing in job training, housing, and mental health, connecting youth with work-based learning opportunities, and supporting our local businesses. I want to congratulate this year's honorees, four amazing women who support our community through a shared commitment to justice, economic independence, and entrepreneurship. Thank you for joining us to support the work of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women and these outstanding honorees.
Hi, it's Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf here to congratulate the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the Oakland Bay Area chapter, on its 23rd annual Madam C.J. Walker Business and Community Recognition Luncheon and Empowerment Forum. For more than a quarter of a century, you have been empowering Black women and girls. And as an elected official and policymaker, especially during this unprecedented last year, it's organizations like NCBW that I turn to for advice and to be inspired by what you do in this community, particularly during hard times like these. This year's luncheon theme could not be more appropriate: thriving through change. And your award recipients this year certainly exemplify that theme. First of all, love that Kamasi Aaron is our mistress of ceremony. I love hanging out with you, Kamasi, on ABC. You are a great news anchor and just a fun person to be with on air. And what award recipients this year. Your Advocate Award to Amy Allison, founder of She the People, such an inspirational voice around women of color in politics and in leadership, something near and dear to my heart. The Pioneer Award for Tanzania Carter, the first African-American woman to serve as assistant sheriff in San Francisco. The Corporate Award for Vera Moore at JP Morgan Chase, and the Entrepreneur Award for Nicole Felix, the COO of Pound Business. Let me also just congratulate you for the inspirational work you do every year through the Positive Steps Mentoring Program. And I love how you inspire young women to express themselves creatively, to show that empowerment in such a tangible way. So congratulations again for the second year in a row to Miss Bryce Dawkins for winning that essay award. Please keep inspiring this next generation of leaders. We need their radical imagination, their vision, and their leadership for generations to come. And finally, it's my honor as the mayor to welcome virtually an amazing keynote speaker, such an inspiration, author, spiritual leader, TV host, and recipient of the NAACP Image Award, Miss Iyanla Van Zant. I cannot wait to hear your inspiring words. Every year, this luncheon has the best keynote speakers. And that, of course, is due to the incredible leadership, particularly your fabulous president, Aisha Brown. You do it every year, the whole board. Thank you so much for everything you do for Oakland, for the Bay Area, for Black women, for this whole community. Have a fabulous luncheon. Congratulations.
We have such a dynamic program planned for you today, and we want to begin the program with the invocation, which will be such a treat. Singing for us today, I'm so excited to introduce the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir. This choir is celebrating their 35th year as an award-winning, reassured Bay Area institution. Their mission is inspiring joy and unity among all people through Black gospel and spiritual musical traditions. And they were named Best Gospel Choir in 2006, Best Church Choir in 2009, and awarded the Dr. Edwin Hawkins Excellence Award in 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir. Let's give them a round of applause. You can still do it even though we're virtual. You can raise your hand or clap back in the chat box. And thank you again. That was so amazing. Now, before we go any further into the program, I want to introduce you to our host for today's event, the women of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated Oakland Bay Area chapter. These lovely ladies have been advocating for Black women and girls in the Oakland Bay Area for 25 years. Each member volunteers their time. Everyone from the president, Ms. Aisha Brown, to the board of directors and the members. They all volunteer their time to make sure that the mission and the vision of this organization comes to pass. Thank you, ladies, so much for your support of the communities that you live and work in. We would now like to take some time to acknowledge our sponsors.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, JP Morgan Chase, Blue Shield of California, First Republic Bank, Comcast, Kaiser Permanente,
East Bay Mud, Union Bank, AC Transit,
the Law Office of Kazin, McLean, Stratterly, and Greenwood.
Board of Supervisor President of Alameda County, District 5, Keith Carson.
And our reliable, trusted, and devoted sponsor, Wells Fargo.
Thank you for your support of the exceptional programs of NCBW, which include economic empowerment, health, education, and public policy. Let's give our sponsors a round of applause. I would now like to take the opportunity to introduce you to one of the founding members of the Oakland Bay Area chapter of NCBW and currently the president of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce, my friend, Ms. Kathy Adams.
Good afternoon. As founder of the Oakland Bay Area chapter of 100 Black Women Incorporated and president of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce, I am delighted to join you today. It warms my heart to know that this concept and vision of Madam C.J. Walker Luncheon began 22 years ago for me, not only as the event consultant for those 22 years with CDA Consulting Group, but as a visionary and creator of this luncheon with 3 other outstanding women who saw the vision of Madam C.J. Walker and helped to turn it into this amazing and empowering event each year. Janice Evans-Page, Kim Winston, and Michelle Lewis, thank you. We take this time to celebrate the rich tradition of hard work while making an impact on the community with an entrepreneur spirit that is deeply rooted in the African American culture. Madam C.J. Walker was lauded as the first Black woman millionaire in America for her successful line of hair care products. After seeking treatment for hair loss, she developed the Walker system and sold her homemade products directly to Black women. Madam C.J. Walker had great ideas and helped with the civil rights that still impact the world today. She went to many rallies, gave many speeches, and protested for civil rights constantly. An American entrepreneur, philanthropist, and political and social activist, Madam Walker created her own seat at the table. Today, you will be empowered to move forward, believe in yourself, and understand the power of your voice to be heard and understand self-worth. Even in the midst of adversity, we still rise up. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce Alilio Bundles, author, journalist, truth seeker, and the great-great-granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. Alilio Bundles is an engaging public speaker and skilled MC, an award-winning journalist and author. She founded the Madam Walker Family Archives and a Columbia University trustee and immediate past chairman of the National Archives Foundation, a former network television news executive and producer. She has appeared on ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, C-SPAN, NPR, and BBC, and spoken at the Harvard Business School, Spelman College, and dozens of corporations, book festivals, and women conferences. Please enjoy a short video following I present to you Miss Alilio Bundles.
When Madam Walker started her company in 1906, there were very few women who were in business. She and Helena Rubinstein and Elizabeth Arden were women who were all in the same boat. They were trying to develop an industry. People didn't even take them seriously. She traveled door to door, town to town, teaching individuals in churches and in people's parlors and wherever she could. And she could see that ultimately it really wasn't as much about the hair care product, though that was important in an era when women didn't have access to those products, but it also was very much about empowering women and about helping women become economically independent. So the more she trained women and the more she taught them to train other women, she was developing a national and really international network of women who were Walker agents. those women could see not only were they able to transform themselves, but they also were able to make money that they could contribute to their churches, to pay tuition for their children to go to school, to buy homes. And this then became really the goal. When I look at her life, I think it's fabulous that she became a millionaire. Stunning that she became a millionaire. But for me, the more lasting legacy is that she empowered people and that she used her money to make a difference in her community and to show other people their ability to make a difference in their communities.
Greetings. My name is Alelia Bundles, and I am Madam C.J. Walker's great-great-granddaughter and biographer. It's always a joy for me to join the Oakland Bay Area chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women for its annual Madam C.J. Walker Luncheon. I bring congratulations to the host committee, to the honorees, and greetings to Ms. Van Zandt. I'd also like for you to know that she is even more and has many more dimensions beyond being a pioneer of the modern hair care industry. She was a philanthropist, a patron of the arts, and very much a political activist who would be so at home in this moment of racial reckoning and social justice. At her first convention of her sales agents in 1917, she said to them, "Your first duty is to humanity. I want others to look at us and realize that we care not just about ourselves, but about others." At the convention, she gave prizes not just to the women who had sold the most products, but to the women who had contributed the most to charity in their communities. At the end of the convention, the women sent a telegram to President Woodrow Wilson urging him to support legislation to make lynching a federal crime. We are in a moment where Madam Walker is getting a lot of attention, long overdue, though the coalition there has been praising and celebrating Madam Walker for a long time. Many of you may have seen Self-Made, the Netflix series starring the amazing Octavia Spencer. So I want you to know that was fiction. A lot of that was not true, but it does mean that more people know Madam Walker's name. And it's very exciting to know that at the San Francisco airport now, there is an exhibit that includes Madam Walker. So as we lift Madam Walker's name up and as we empower women, I hope that you will continue to do the good work to support the National Coalition of 100 Black Women and to continue on your own to empower women, to give women more opportunities, and to make sure that we are getting the recognition that we deserve. Thank you so much.
Yeah. One of the chapter's premier programs is Positive Steps Mentoring Program. These ladies mentor girls from the age of 12 until college. And today I would like to introduce one of the young Positive Steppers who will be sharing a few words about thriving through change. It is my pleasure to introduce the 2021 Essay Award winner and Positive Stepper, Bryce Dawkins.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bryce Dawkins, and I'm a senior at the Headroy School. I'm a third-year member of the Positive Steps program, which is a sisterhood which empowers African American girls like myself, helps us reach our full potential, and furthers our potential as beautiful, successful, and strong young ladies. This sisterhood has provided me joy, love, and community this past year, one that nobody could have prepared for. 2020, a year with no warning. A year with too many "are you okays" and even more "I'm fines." I still remember my last day of in-person school. I sat with my friends, joking with our history teacher about how we would spend our extended spring break. 2 weeks became 2 months, and now, as many people do not have access to a vaccine, might still become 2 years. I watched helplessly as school transitioned to Zoom, then church, Positive Steps, and dance class. Each of these losses piled up alone with the greatest one of all, that of my grandmother, who passed away the week before the shelter-in-place order. Alone in my room all day long, I was propelled into a state of reflection that was inescapable. Truly, 2020 was filled with immense loss for the African American community. We miss Kobe Bryant, Chadwick Boseman, Cicely Tyson, and John Lewis. We remember George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, Daniel Prude, and Rayshard Brooks, all innocent and all taken from us at the hands of the police. We are battling injustice, hatred, and violence in a nation which seems not to care for us, yet was built from the labor of our ancestors. At 17 years old, a new driver, and a student at a predominantly white institution, the past year has been one characterized by fear. In 2020, I watched tears fall in Black Student Union meetings, observed the silence of my best friends, and painted signs to fight for our lives. Throughout this battle, I have been extremely grateful for Positive Steps, where I am reminded to hold on to hope and to keep dreaming and keep aspiring. I have fallen for the Black joy, excellence, and beauty highlighted during each of our meetings, and know that my Positive Steps sisters and I will always have each other to turn to. As we move forward in 2021, I hope we each can hold on to this special light and brilliance. For I believe magic happens when we come together. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I love that. What an inspiring tribute. Now this is the best part because this is a time where we can all play a part. It is time to give. So please help me welcome NCBW Treasurer Shari Woodridge.
Good afternoon. My name is Shari Woodridge, and I currently hold the office of Chapter Treasurer. To paraphrase an old African proverb, empowering a woman means empowering the family, a community, and a society. The National Coalition of 100 Black Women Bay Area Chapter has spent the last 25 years advocating for women and young girls in our community. We do this because we have learned of the importance and the power in advocating for the Black woman, because it enables all of us to respond to the challenges that are ever present in today's world. Our key program and activity focuses on mentoring our Positive Steppers in providing the scholarships that we know are a great foundation for the empowerment of women. Education, we know, is the most powerful tool to change the position of women in society. As we continue to thrive through the most epic change in our livelihoods, our employment status, just our general life, we are asking you to support the work that we are doing in empowering the young women of our community.
Come with melody, got the heart, got the soul like Harriet. A queen since she born, that was evident. That's evidence of Black excellence. I can tell a good dog when I'm petting him. Know that if I have his tribe, he protecting him. Mother of a child of God, I invest in them. Nutrition and brown milk in them. Young Rosa, young Luther, keep marching. Floodgates coming, no, it don't stop them.
It's easy. Take out your phone and text MCJW 2021 to 44321. A simple donation of $50 will go to the supplies of our monthly meetings. We're having to be creative with extra incentive to keep the girls engaged due to the virtual nature of our meetings. Know that any donation given will be used for our programs. NCBW is an all-volunteer organization. A comment made once by one of our girls said that we have made an impression on her because she had an opportunity to interact with women who look like her, that are lawyers, doctors, nurses, and corporate executives. With the California educational system only having 11% of Black teachers, this is very important. This young woman went on to college. In fact, 85% of our girls participate in the program stay at least 4 years. 75% attend college, and several come back to speak to girls about their first years as a college student. This is empowerment. This is thriving through the change that is impacting our community. Your help is extremely important in supporting the work of the Coalition. Thank you for making a true investment in our girls, our community, our future. Again, text NCJW 2021 to 44321. And now back to you, Kamasi.
Thank you all so much for your generous contributions to such a worthy organization. Now, with the same level of passion and commitment as Madam C.J. Walker, NCBW advocates on behalf of Black women and girls to promote leadership development and gender equity in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment. Please enjoy this tribute to all women who continue to fight for equity and community. Stand Up by Cynthia Erivo.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind, and I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone, and I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Shine stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Now, this is the time that I've been waiting for, and I know you have been too, our keynote address. Now, please feel free to use chat for any questions that you would like me to ask, and I will do my very best to address as many of them as possible. Now, it's time for what we have all been waiting for, an intimate conversation with Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt. From welfare mother to 6-time New York Times bestselling author, from the Brooklyn Projects to multiple NAACP Image Award winner, from broken pieces to peace. Dr. Van Zandt is one of the country's most prolific writers, public speakers, and among the most influential, socially engaged, spiritual life coaches of our time. Executive producer and host of the critically acclaimed Iyanla Fix My Life on OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, Iyanla Van Zandt focuses on faith, empowerment, and loving relationships, and that has inspired millions around the world. Please join me in welcoming the beloved Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt.
Let the show begin.
I know you see me on the video. I know you hear me on the radio. But you still don't pay me no attention. Listening to what your homeboys mention. She's hot, she's hot, she's hot. Got a different man every day of the week.
Dr. Van Zandt, hi.
Oh, Grand Rising. I was muted.
Hold on, I gotta make sure I hear you because I am so excited to see you, so excited to talk to you. I just want to welcome you, first of all, on behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated, the Oakland Bay Area chapter. Everyone is so excited to have you here and to just talk with you. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. And let me say congratulations to 100 Black Women, the Oakland chapter, and to my dear friend Blanche Richardson of Marcus Books in Oakland and San Francisco. Let me say congratulations to all of the awardees today, Grand Rising to you, and to all my sorors, my AKA sorors who may be out there, Grand Rising to you. Thank you to all my sister women in Oakland and beyond for always honoring me, for supporting me. Your support means the world to me. So thank you so very much. And thank you for having me.
Is thriving through change. And that is something all of us have had to do this past year, needless to say. So what advice would you have for women here in the Bay Area, who maybe women joining us from across the country, across the world, about the best way to thrive when we've seen so much change?
Yeah, that is such an intellectual question. Let's take it down to the heart.
You always do, and I love it.
Come on, listen. Stuff has fallen apart. Some stuff has fallen together. Some of us don't have a clue, and others of us are trying to find a clue. Let me just say that we as Black women, we know how to deal with change. The question is, how can we make it more elegant, more graceful, more easy? I say that we have to look at those places that we've been afraid to look at within ourselves, in our lives, in our relationships. We have to know that all change is preceded by chaos. When you get trying to clean your closet out, right? You don't just go in and reorganize the closet. You got to pull everything out. It's all over the bed. It's all over the floor. That's when you see you had 2 blouses of the same kind. Both of them still got the tags on them. And you haven't worn either one. We know how to deal with change. But in this 21st century, let us make it easier, more elegant, meaning that we get the greatest result with the least amount of effort. Let us call in grace to make the changes that we've been afraid to make, which is things we need to stop doing, things we need to start doing, things we need to do more consistently, things that we've been telling ourselves we can't do that we now can look at. Did we know that Iyanla Van Zandt could be with you in Oakland through technology? So how do we move through change towards greater expression of ourselves, greater experience of ourselves, is to look at those places we've been afraid to look. We all have those places, even me. I would tell you today, I am sitting in the midst of probably what I could say in my life is one of the greatest betrayals I have ever experienced. A betrayal by someone you love, someone you trusted. It's not a man. And the moment it was clear to me that this thing was happening, I had to say, okay, what have I been acting like I didn't know? You want to get through change? Look at what you've been acting like you didn't know, because as Black women, we got that mother with that intuition, but we don't always trust it. We have to look at what has my level of participation been in this thing as I was acting like I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And if I can move the emotion out of it, let me move the emotion out of it. Let me rise above it and look at it. I'm going to say, okay, what is my lesson? You want to thrive in change? Get your lesson. Don't worry about what other people are doing. How do we thrive in change? We look at the things that we know no longer work for us, but we continue to engage them because we're not clear about how to draw a new boundary. How do we thrive in change? We look at the people in our lives to see if they are depositing or only withdrawing. We look at the activities and the places we spend our time, energy, and resources and ask ourselves, is this serving and supporting me as I am serving and supported it? How do we thrive through change? We stop being the beast of burden and start being the agents of majesty and power. Have I said too much?
Listen. Listen. That was a lot. You gave us so many nuggets. I'm up here trying to take notes. But I feel like the root or the undercurrent of what you're saying is self-actualization, like looking at yourself. And we have had plenty of time to do that in this pandemic.
Yeah. You know, self-actualization, that doesn't ring with our grandmothers. That doesn't ring with our grandmothers. One of the things we have to do is start using a language and an energy that resonates with us. Self-actualization, that's a psychological, own your stuff. How about
that? So let me ask you about this. How was the pandemic for you? You've said that right now you're going through one of the greatest betrayals of your life. I don't know how much you feel comfortable, but you are really good about sharing that you're going through things just as we are going through things. But how has that been for you to go through something like that in the middle of this pandemic?
Well, it just started today. It had nothing to do with the pandemic, absolutely nothing. So the pandemic for me was, you know, and I'm not talking about the deaths of, you know, that occurred in the world. For me, it was fabulous. I got to stay home longer than 10 days for the first time in 8 years. I got to do the thing that I love to do, which is study and teach and spend time with God. I'm around people all the time, so being home with me and peace and freedom, those are my dogs, it was divine for me. And it gave me a chance to see and connect with what was going on in the world and to really understand where people were. So it was a divine opportunity for me to support people in a way that I couldn't have if I had been out doing my work. So the betrayal that I'm experiencing in this moment had nothing to do with the pandemic. I literally just found out about it today.
And you're still showing up. We appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, you know what?
We know the pandemic.
Let me say this. You cannot allow your pain to deny your purpose. Madam C.J. Walker didn't. She had some pain. Do not allow your pain to deny, diminish, dismiss, override your purpose.
We know it's been really challenging, the pandemic, for a lot of parents, especially because their worlds have really changed and they've had to do a full year pretty much online, especially here in the Bay Area. What would you say to parents who are trying to balance all this and still trying to keep a sense of peace within?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called us to a new way of order, hasn't it? It really has.
Yeah.
A new way of order. I think it highlighted the places where we were out of order and gave us the opportunity to create order. So I think, SOS, system, order, structure. System, order, structure. With the children home, I think they're going back to school now. I don't have school-age children. I know my grandchildren are going back. But it really called us to set up a system of family time, study time, rest time, me time, work time. We really have to do it. And, order is one of the first laws of heaven. So it's called us to do that. So if it feels like you're out of balance or you can't seem to get a grasp on everything, SOS, system, order, structure. Set up a system that creates order within the structure of your family life, your work life, and your parenting.
You have helped so many of us through the work that you've done, whether it be through your show or books or whatever it is. And I think a lot of us think that we have to have everything together in order to help other people, but you've called yourself the wounded healer. Yourself that, how did you decide to fight those wounds?
You know what? Something flew in on the screen while you were speaking, and I did not hear you. I don't know what that was. I think they were announcing your wonderfulness. So can you repeat the question for me?
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. So I was just saying how much we appreciate all the work that you've done over the years, be it through your books or through your TV show. And I think a lot of people feel like they have to have everything together before they start to maybe help someone else. But you call yourself the wounded healer. And so I was just wondering, for people who might not understand part of your journey, if you could talk about that and how you decided to move forward with your purpose despite those wounds.
Yeah. So here's the nugget. Just because you're defective doesn't mean you can't see other people's defects. And just because they're defective doesn't mean they can't see your defects. I talked about being a wounded healer in the tradition of the great healer Chiron. Chiron was Hercules' teacher. He was a master teacher. He taught many of the mystical teachers and heroes in the world. And his first wound was that his mother died when he was an infant, just like me. My mother passed when I was 2. And I was raised in a series of homes, grandmother, aunts, uncles, where I wasn't always treated well. So I didn't learn a lot about love or self-love or care or nurturing. I've been real open about that. About one of my biggest struggles has been learning how to take care of myself because I wasn't nurtured in the womb. My mother was an alcoholic. And then I wasn't nurtured in the physical body because my mother died and I was just kind of passed around. I think, many of us have cracks in our foundation as women, as Black women, that we need to really build up. But that doesn't mean that you can't make a valuable contribution because of those cracks. The thing that I did and the thing that I would invite others to do is look at the place where you have repetitive patterns, repetitive experiences. You can never find the right lover. You can never seem to get your money right. Somebody that you love is always betraying you. I know that the betrayal that I'm experiencing right now is an ancestral pattern. It's an ancestral pattern. And I was unconsciously participating at another level. I've cleared a lot, but it's right back here. So those of us who love our community and serve our community, one key is this: the thing that upsets you most is probably a place of a break in your own life. Like, I have no continence for people who abuse children. That's because I was abused. I have no continence for men who extract violence against women. That's because I lived with domestic violence and I experienced it. So look at the places that you really get a lot, you have a lot of heat in terms of what you can contribute or want to contribute, and then look for those places within yourself. Um, just because you're defective doesn't mean you can't support others in healing their defects.
From Tiffany Inez, and she says, as Black women, we are always looked at to be the strong one. So who takes care of us as the strong one?
Well, you set the standard for how people treat you. So how you take care of yourself is how you will require, request, and expect others to take care of you. That whole strong one, what does that mean? You know, as a wounded healer, I talked about someone that's bleeding perpetually and they don't die. You know, you just bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. And that's not very helpful. So you got to look at, where are you bleeding? Where's your strength causing you to bleed? And to bleed means that you're giving more than you're getting, or you're not getting what it is that you need or desire. You have to take care of yourself. It's up to you. Your strength, your power is your responsibility. And that means learning how to ask for what you need. It means learning when to say no, when to say no. And it means to give your yes with clarity and commitment, not obligation.
Now I want to ask you a few questions about the show. Iyanla Fixed My Life for 8 seasons, 150 episodes. We have loved watching this show, cried along with you on this show. And I want to know, how did the show start? Because when I was watching your finale, I was kind of surprised to hear that the first title of the show was Find Me a Man.
Yeah. that was well, we talked about it. I was doing I think life class with Miss Winfrey. And I was kind of regular every week I was on. And we were getting in the elevator one day and she said, "You need your own show." And I said, "No, I don't." She said, "Yes, you do." I said, "No, I'm really good. I'm right here." Because I had had an experience with my own show with another network, and it did not turn out well. Okay. And so she said it again. She took me by the hand, getting in the elevator, and she said, she has a way of like shaking your hand. And she said, "You need your own show." And in that moment, something said, "Fool, the Oprah Winfrey's telling you you need your own show. Not only did she have a show, now she got a network. Shut up and say yes." So we started working on, what it was going to be. And they sent me this concept of Iyanla Find Me a Man. And I said, "I've been divorced 3 times. What you think I can find you one?"
Oh, God.
After some back and forth, it was really Miss Winfrey who came up with the title, Fix My Life. And then we just created the formula. We thought first it would be a studio show, and then we focus grouped it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you. I couldn't hear you.
No, I said we focus grouped it, and we thought it would be a studio show, but it turned out that people were really excited about me going to people's houses and dealing with them in their house. So, we did that for 3 seasons. I traveled around the country going to people's house.
You were at the table, and there's so many things we love about the show, just like the authenticity of it. People laying on the ground, laying on your bosom. I think one of the things most people remember, though, is Beloved. And I just wonder, where did that come from? Did you just say Beloved, or did you say this is going to be a part of my show?
No, I've always said that. And it's really be love. And no matter what's going on in your life, in your world, if you can be love, not look for it, ask for it, seek it, be love, everything will eventually smooth out, because love is the greatest healer. Be love.
We could feel the love in the show. And Oprah was saying how she felt like it was more than a show, that it was actually a ministry.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way about the show? And how was the whole experience of the show for you?
Well, it was my ministry, and I let them know that. I let them know early on, I'm not here to do television, I'm here to do ministry, meaning as a minister, my service to God is my service in the world. And my ministry is very clear. I have a teaching ministry. I am a teacher. And for me, I use the most ancient definition of teacher or educator, which means to pull out that which is within. So I don't go in trying to give anybody anything. I go in trying to pull out and show them what's there, and so that they can up level it, elevate it, and use it to their advantage. So I am a minister, and it was my service, because Fix My Life was my service to God, not to people. People just got the benefit. But he said, go, and I went. Will you do what I tell you to do? Will you say what I tell you to say? Will you go where I tell you to go? Those were the questions I was asked when I was ordained. And I said, yes.
We're happy you said yes. This is another question from an attendee. How do you get past betrayal? How do you work toward forgiving yourself for allowing the betrayal to stay in your life, and the betrayal or a person who's betrayed has asked for forgiveness and is showing change?
Well, this is the one that I'm in right now is new. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'll tell you how I did the other ones. I am a student of A Course in Miracles, which taught me nothing comes into my life unbidden by me. If it is in my life, it is there because I bid it to be so. So whether it's a betrayal or a disappointment or a letdown or whatever, the first thing I ask myself is, okay, how did I create this? How did I create this? And I look for the lesson, not what needs to be forgiven. There's a lesson here. There's something that I'm learning. There's a muscle that I'm building. So the first thing I do is look for the lesson. And once I identify the lesson, then I can look at, okay, see, I knew that and I ignored it. Okay, I forgive myself for that. I wasn't aware that that was going on. All right, bing, let me put that note to file. Okay. And so you look for the lesson and get out of the hurt of it. Get out of the hurt of it. Give yourself permission to feel the hurt, know the hurt, honor the hurt, but just don't buy real estate there. Don't buy real estate there.
That is good, but it feels like it might be easier said than done when that pain is so real.
Oh yeah, when I heard this information that I got today, and it was pouring down rain, and we couldn't even move. The police stopped the cars. I was trying to get home. I thought I was gonna have a stroke, because I'm old. I can't take too much. I was in the car by myself, and so you know what I said to myself? I said, "He who abides in the shadow of the Almighty." I am in the shadow of the Almighty right now. He is my refuge and my strength. She is my refuge and my strength. And I will trust you, because I know all things are lessons that God would have me learn. So I'm learning a lesson here. I'm not being hurt or just betrayed or beat up. It's not making my life hard. All things are lessons that God would have me heard. So let me get under the shadow of the Almighty and sit there and keep my darn mouth shut.
You're right. This is another question. This is from Tamori Richardson, who says you are amazing and that you've been very instrumental in her life. And she wants to know your suggestions on how women can better support each other. And she says, as Black women, it seems to be difficult, and she's wondering why.
Because we keep saying that. Because we keep saying it's difficult. That's why. And because our mouths are wounds that we create that. It's not difficult for us to support each other. We've been taught to compete. We've been taught to compete. So we have to unlearn that. I have 12 women, 3 of which we've worked together for 20 something years. We've never had a fight, or argument, or breakdown of any kind. because I didn't come into it with that understanding that it's hard to get along with Black women. Don't trust Black women, and don't leave your man around another woman. Don't let another woman wear your lipstick. All that kind of wahala and crazy meant. So let's stop saying that, and let's start holding each other responsible for how we treat each other. You know, a sister woman will do something that you feel, that you don't feel good about. And instead of calling her on it, you'll go talk about her to another sister woman. Say it to her face, sister, how you don't, the way you treat me right now doesn't feel good. It makes me feel blah, blah. Why are you treating me in that way? Why are you speaking to me in that way? Call her on her stuff. She may not even be aware, because some of us grew up in environments where violence and abuse and betrayal it was commonplace. But that's a crack in our foundation. So if you weren't grown up that way, and if you want to be in sisterhood with other women, then you set up the criteria for your relationship and stop repeating that craziness.
Yes. I think sometimes it's a difficult conversation. And I think that's one of the most powerful things about your show is that you were there to help people as they facilitate these really difficult conversations. And I know a lot of our generations, our parents, our grandparents really don't talk about some of these deep emotional things. So how would you advise someone navigate difficult conversations, painful things from the past, when we don't have you there to walk us through it or to kind of encourage us along?
Go back and watch all 150 episodes of Fix My Life. Take notes. Let's start with I love you, and what's happening between us is hurting me. I want to talk about it. Are you willing? I love you.
Yeah.
Our relationship is important. Several times a year, just because I send letters to all the Black women mayors around this country. Some of them I ain't never seen. I want you to know I'm here. I'm praying for you. I'm wishing you the best. And I pray for them. I don't have to know them. They're my sisters. I am not my sister's keeper. I am my sister. Do you know what Black women mayors had to go through this year? Do you have any clue? Have you sent them a card, a call, a text, a piece of candy? They need candy. So simple gestures of love. I've never seen you. I don't get San Francisco television here, but my friend told me you were Anchor. Yes. So I have you on my wall and your name, and I call your name and I bless you and I want the best for you. That's how we have to do each other. I pray for London. I've never seen her. Don't know who she is. I pray for the vice president. I pray for Lori Lightfoot and for Keisha Lance Bottoms, because these are our sister women there, and they're out front in a man's world where they're not honored and respected as women or as women of color. I don't want nothing from them. That's how we learn how to be good to each other.
All right, so I think I have to wrap it up soon, and I'm sad because we could be here talking for a whole other hour. But at the end of the series, you walked out the door, you said, my work here is done, but my work out there is just beginning. And we want to know what is next for you. More books, another TV show. What are you going to be doing and talking about?
Right now I'm teaching. I've got 2 classes that begin on Sunday. One is a 7-day prayer challenge, and the other one is a refresher about abundance, because the pandemic has created upheaval in so many people's finances. I want to teach them the laws of abundance. That begins on Sunday online. Anybody can attend. And prayer, we don't know how to pray. We know how to cuss, we know how to gossip, we know how to curse, we curse each other, and we don't know how to pray. So I'm doing a 7-day prayer challenge, teaching people the science of prayer. People don't know that there's a science to prayer. And those prayer warriors who know how to pray, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be teaching, and I'm taking the rest of the summer off to listen to Spirit and tell me what it is I'm to do next. I don't really have any plans other than those 2 classes.
Love it. I'm so excited that we got to spend this time with you. And is there anything else that you wanted to share that maybe I didn't ask you about?
This is our time. I want everybody to go get Kelly Price's song, It's My Time. It's my time. This is our time, women. This is our time. This is our time to inject our energy, our power, our majesty, our dignity into the world. It's our time to have our voices heard. Don't be afraid of hard work. Get out there and do it. It's our time. They're trying to strip us of the vote. This is our time. They're trying to eliminate our voices. The white male dominant superiority is crumbling and they're fighting. We don't have to fight them, but we do have to be in place to take our position because it's our time. It is our time. Please know that. So let us get our personal selves together. Let us strengthen ourselves up. Let us find our voices. Let us lock arm in arm, a la Stacey Abrams, who I think should be in charge of everything in the world. Let us do that. Put her in charge of everything, okay? And let us stand up in our communities. And they're gonna distract us and get, by drawing on our heartstrings. Yes, they're killing our children, but it's our time. We gotta raise our voices. And we don't have to do it the way they do it. Let's create a new way. Let's do this the way we do it, okay? Let us just do it the way we do it. As women, let us stop trying to do it the way men do it. How do we want to do this? How do we want to stop them from killing our children? How do we want to stop them from denying our vote? How do we want to stop them from not bringing resources into our community? The pandemic gave us a lot of time to sit down and go in. Now it's our time. Let us come out. Let's come out.
Yes, and we will end it there. We love you so much. Thank you so much. We wish you could give you a big hug through the screen.
Thank you. You take care,
for all
everybody.
That you've done, and we're so excited about your next chapters. A lot of people have been asking how can they sign up for the classes, so we'll tell them how to do that, but we're just so excited about what's to come.
They can go to Hay House and join the prayer challenge with me 8 o'clock every morning. We're going to pray this all down. And if you want to join me for abundance, just go to iyamla.com. iyamla.com. I love you. I love you, my sister women. Thank you for loving me, supporting me. I'm praying for you all the time. And you, my little sweetie there, look at you. You're so young and cute. I got underwear older than you. Okay? You be good and continue to shine our beauty and majesty in the world. Thank you, Mayor London. Thank you. Oh, I forgot the other mayor's name and all the awardees. And now I'm going to go punish my dogs because they did something bad while we were online. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Peace and freedom. Okay.
All right. Have a great day.
Okay.
Now, I would like to bring back the president of NCBW to acknowledge the 2021 Community Awardees, Miss Aisha Brown.
Today, we have come to honor 4 amazing women for their brilliance, boldness, vision, courage, and passion. Today, we are recognizing for entrepreneurship Miss Nicole Felix, Chief Operating Officer for Pound Business.
What an honor to be chosen by the 100 Black Women for the Entrepreneur of the Year Award for the Madam C.J. Walker Business and Community Awards Luncheon. When we started Pound Business, it was never about the cakes and it was never about the money. It's always been about convening communities, about reconnecting families, about conversations, one slice at a time. I would like to thank my life partner, Reggie Borders, and his aunt, my soror, Ira Jean Clark, for bringing this cake into our lives. I would also like to thank my mother, Mary Felix, who worked tirelessly for Pound Business and supporting Reggie Borders and me. Lastly, I would like to thank 3 great examples of Black women entrepreneurs that have been role models to me. Deanna Roberts of DR Roberts Events Management, Kathy Adams of CDA Consulting, and Rain Free of the Red Door Catering. Once again, thank you for choosing me as the Entrepreneur of the Year. I'm very honored and humbled by this recognition. Thank you.
For advocacy, Miss Amy Allison, founder and president of She the People.
Hi, I'm Amy Allison, founder and president of She the People. She the People is a national network elevating the voice and power of women of color to transform our democracy. I want to thank you so much today, the coalition. I want to thank this community for honoring me and honoring the work of She the People. It is Black women, alongside Latinas, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and Indigenous women, who will lead this country into a new political and cultural era. We'll make sure through our advocacy as voters and as organizers, as strategists, and in leadership, we will make sure that racial, gender, and economic justice is a law of the land. We can't do it without you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you again for honoring me, honoring the work, and really I accept it on behalf of Black women and women of color who are working in coalition to have a multiracial democracy, serve our communities, and serve the nation. Thank you so much.
In the category of corporate, Ms. Vera Moore, market manager, community engagement and corporate responsibility for JP Morgan Chase.
Good afternoon. My name is Vera Moore, and I'm a marketing manager on the community engagement team under the corporate responsibility umbrella at JP Morgan Chase. It is with sincere gratitude and humility that I accept this stunning, beautiful corporate award from the Oakland Bay Area chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women in honor of the entrepreneur, the philanthropist, the activist, and certainly the legendary Madam C.J. Walker. I had to put an extra bump in my hair for this one. Thank you to Asia and the entire National Coalition of 100 Black Women team here locally in the Bay Area for this acknowledgement, and congratulations on hosting your first ever virtual business and community recognition luncheon and empowerment forum. JP Morgan Chase is humbled to support your mission to advocate on behalf of Black women and girls to promote leadership development and gender equity in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment. For years, we have been bringing a racial equity lens to how we develop our business products and services, advance policy solutions, and invest in communities. This includes tackling issues such as climate change to really making sure that Black entrepreneurs have the tools and resources they need to succeed in this changing environment. Corporations have an obligation to step up. And as such, in 2020, JP Morgan Chase made a $30 billion commitment over the next 5 years to address the key drivers of the racial wealth divide and to advance racial equity. This multi-billion-dollar commitment builds on existing investments like Advancing Black Pathways, which was launched nationally and in the Bay Area back in 2019 and focuses on education, careers, and wealth for Black people. It also builds on our Entrepreneur of Color Fund, which was launched in 2015, expanded to San Francisco in 2017, and to Oakland in 2020. During these incredibly challenging times, the Bay Area still experiences tremendous growth. However, not everyone is benefiting equally from that growth. And we look forward to continuing to work with organizations like the National Coalition of 100 Black Women to make sure that we're advancing an equitable economy that works for all. Thank you again.
In the category of Pioneer, Assistant Sheriff Tanzanika Carter of the San Francisco Sheriff's Office, the first Black woman to hold this position.
I want to thank the National Coalition of 100 Black Women for this prestigious award. I'm humbled and honored to be given the Madam C.J. Walker Pioneer Award. As the first Black woman to become Assistant Sheriff in San Francisco, this acknowledgement has only made me more determined to be an agent of change and equity. Thank you so much for all that you do in the community, and I will not disappoint you. Thank you.
This year's recipient of the President's Award is co-chair of the Health Committee, a member of the Technology Committee and Public Policy Committee, and graciously accepts any assignment and more. The recipient of this year is Miss Patricia Hunter. Let's all give her a round of applause. Congratulations, Pat. We would like to thank all of our guests, all of our sponsors, and the honorees, and Miss Ayala Van Zandt. Thank you again for joining and supporting us. We look forward to seeing you in person next year.